This is the Continuity Engine disaster recovery demonstration. In this video, we're going to log into the engine management service and we're going to do a switchover to a disaster recovery site using Continuity Engine. So let's get started. I'm going to first log in to my engine management service, which is our administrative console. On the servers tab, these are the ones that are actually protected by Continuity Engine. And in this video, we're going to do a disaster recovery demonstration. So we're going to select our tertiary deployment. And in this configuration, we have a HA pair and DR. So notice that the the primary and the secondary servers are in our Austin data center. And the tertiary, which is our disaster recovery node, will be in our Kansas City data center, which is a little over 700 miles away from Austin. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you a little bit of how we can track the changes that are happening between the different data centers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping this server, which is the SQL 2K DR server, which is right here. And of course, that is this guy right here. Notice that he's pinging at 0.20. And that is my current IP address based on name resolution. So we know we have the right one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my SQL Management Studio. Notice here is my server. The active server is the primary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete a couple of these databases. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to show how fast the replication works between the different sites. So we're going to delete this guy. And we're going to delete this database. And we'll do one more. And then what I'm going to do is add a new database back. We'll call this one Michael. All right, so I have Ben's database. The ones that are gone have been removed. And then I have my new one. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to our Kansas City data center. So if there was an outage of the production data center, we would go into Continuity Engine and we would literally just go to click on Make Active, so we can make the tertiary or disaster recovery node active. We can do it from here, or we can do it from our actions list. So we can just select this, make the tertiary active, or we can run it from here. Either way, it brings up a little box that asks you if you're sure you want to do this or not. You hit the OK button, and it starts the process of moving the workloads over to the disaster recovery site. So there's two ways that it handles this. If the production servers are still available, in this case, the primary and secondary, it will see, the tertiary will say, okay, I need you to shut down your services for the active node. And when you do that, I need you to finish your replication process. Then I need you to hide yourself from the network. And then tell me when you're done. So once it does that, it transfers that over to the tertiary server, and then it begins this transitional process. It actually goes through the process of revealing itself to the network. It then spins up the services. It assigns the IP address. And finally, it reverses the replication process and then does the DNS update process. That transitioning process, when it's complete, it makes the tertiary the active server. And when it's all done, everything turns green. And now we have a functional tertiary server that is active at our disaster recovery site, in this case, 760 miles away. But notice that it also has a new IP address. So it has an IP address for the local subnet for that data center. So if we go back to our ping, notice now that it resolves to 10.20, which is our DR server, our tertiary. And then if I go back to the SQL Management Studio, I can create a new database. All right, so I have Larry's that I created on the tertiary. I have Michael's that I created on the primary. And notice once I refresh the screen, notice that all the ones that I deleted are gone. So what this does is this proves that Continuity Engine has instantaneous replication process between the different sites, and it doesn't matter what the distances are. So we can replicate off changes pretty efficiently with Continuity Engine. And because there is compression and deduplication between the secondary and the tertiary, or the primary site and the secondary site, it speeds up the replication process because it reduces the amount of bandwidth that you need during this process. Okay, so now that we've failed over or switched over to our recovery site, we have the tertiary is now active. Now keep in mind that if you had lost the entire production infrastructure, the tertiary server would just seize the role and become active. So this is a key piece here. So we talked about the switchover process that we just did, where it was a controlled movement of the workloads. But if the data center was completely gone and the tertiary server could not see the production systems, it would just seize that role, and automatically, once the make active button was was triggered, it would bring the tertiary server to active status. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to switch it all back. So once the event is over and you bring back your primary and secondary server, they're back online. The tertiary will automatically connect to those systems through the channel and will start replicating data over to them, because the tertiary is our active node right now. So in a very short period of time, the secondary and primary will get resynchronized and they will all turn green. So you will now have replication, real-time replication going between the tertiary to the secondary to the primary server. Now, once that's done, we can just click on the Make Active button. We'll hit the OK button. And the key thing to take away from this is that the same process we used to bring it all over is the same process we used to bring it all back. This is a key differentiator for us here at Neverfail. So now what you have is a transitioning process where we know that the primary and secondary are there. So this is going to be a switch back. So there's no such thing as a failback. We always switch back because we know that the primary and secondary are there and are synchronized. So it goes through the same exact process that we had before. So the tertiary server will shut down its services. It will finish the replication process. It then hides itself from the network. It then transitions over to the primary server, which you're seeing right now. And then it spins up the services, actually unhides itself from the network, and then spins up its services. It then does the DNS change. And then finally, it will then reverse the replication process. So all these actions are happening in the background and are fully automated. So once that process is initiated, you can be rest assured that Continuity Engine will bring your production systems back online. What's nice about this is that this process only takes about 30 to 90 seconds maybe to get completed. And then, so your maintenance windows outages are very, very low with this. You're not going to have hours to do these switchbacks, if you will. You won't have to forcibly resynchronize the data back. And then once it's done, you will see everything turn green, and we will have an active primary server. And there we go. So now we have our active server is now the primary server. And if I go back now and ping this resource, notice that it's pinging now at 0.20, which is our primary server. And if I go back into the SQL Management Studio and I go and try to create a new database, I just created a new database for Michelle. So she is now created on the primary server. Michael was created on the primary before the switchover, and then Larry was created on the tertiary. So all of these now come together. As you can see, all the databases are fully synchronized between each other. There's on the switchovers and switchbacks, there's absolutely no loss of data. And as you can see here, the replication is instantaneous. All of the databases we deleted before our demonstration really began are gone. And so this is Continuity Engine. So let's kind of review. So Continuity Engine provides you with the ability to do both switchovers and failovers to your disaster recovery site. It transitions during a switchover in a way that is controlled. It's a graceful switchover. And then once you get everything over to the DR site and make your DR copy active, in this case the tertiary, then you do what we call a switchback process, not a failback. This gives you the ability to do a very graceful transition with no loss of data, and you don't have to worry about having to do major resyncs of data before you have to do this. It happens automatically in the background. In fact, Continuity Engine won't even let you switch back until all of the resync processes are completed. Now, if you failed over, then once the site is brought back online and the channels connect, Continuity Engine is intelligent. It connects all the channels up, and also all of a sudden, automatically, the replication begins and everything syncs back up. So this is how Continuity Engine works in a disaster recovery. This concludes our demonstration of disaster recovery with Continuity Engine.